Ty, does that sort of resonate with? I'm thinking about like from a project management perspective, right? You show
Yeah.
the dashboard on a weekly basis, like here's what we're doing, here's what we're going to do next week, some of the accomplishments, some of the risks. So you
So,
think that
and
could kind of
again, back in my early career, a lot of things are performance based, the bonuses and things like that. And I didn't get a lot of those bonuses, and it frustrated me. But it was because I wasn't keeping track of the work. I thought people were just seeing my work. Like, I'm working hard. You see I'm working hard. You see I'm working at night. But if you don't have those actual stats like Linda provides to us, those dashboards, where you can visually show who's above you, what you have produced and what you've been doing, then it really means nothing. And you have to take control of your own voice. And we all have a brand, no matter if we're working for someone else or for ourselves. We all have a brand that we have to keep up with, that we should keep up with.
Welcome to Her Resources, the podcast where we explore all things human resources through the lens of leadership, equity, and empowerment.
We're kicking off something really special. We partnered with the Her PM, a community of powerhouse women in project management, for a 6-part series that brings together 2 dynamic worlds, project management and human capital management.
Over the next 6 months, we'll be diving into topics that matter the most: how to lead complex projects, manage change, and drive strategic initiatives that actually make an impact.
Whether you're an HR leader, a project manager, or just someone trying to figure it all out, we've got something for you.
Each month, we'll share real-world stories and leave you with practical insights you can apply right away.
And we're so excited about this collaboration, and we can't wait to take this journey with you all at Her Resources and Her PM and everyone out there watching.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Her Resources podcast. I am excited to be back in the office. I am not excited to be back in the office at all. I am excited to be back in the studio with my incredible co-host. And how are you?
I'm good. We were just talking about, we cannot believe this is the 6th episode with our friend Ty. And it's just been such a journey, such a sweet journey, honestly.
Yes. I look forward to these episodes all the time because I could just literally just spend the afternoon sipping sweet tea on the porch with Ty and talking about all this amazing stuff we talk about. So how are you, Ty?
I am good. Always wonderful and happy to be in both of your presence. So thank you again for the opportunity, and just looking forward to further growth and everything.
Us too. I know. When I'm excited about this one because we're kind of wrapping everything up to talk a little bit more about career growth strategies and really empowering women to lead and succeed. I've noticed a trend around that lately, Cyndi, even with some of our upcoming guest spots that we're going to have, is there's a lot of books being written about women in leadership and really kind of flipping the script on a lot of things. So, I'm glad that we've had the opportunity to be a little ahead of that and Ty, with all the work that you're doing with the Impact Collective and really kind of driving these conversations for really kind of reframing the world of project management as well. And Cyndi and I are going to have an episode coming up talking about change management. That's just, I want to highlight Cyndi. It's like, that's what she does. And let's talk about what Cyndi's out there doing with change. So this has just been such a fun journey.
It has. And Ty, I've loved watching too how you have started to experiment more and more with LinkedIn Live and IG Live. And I think that's so cool. Every time I see a woman, especially somebody that we've gotten to meet through the podcast, do cool things and be successful in doing them, I'm just like, behind the scenes, just
I definitely appreciate the support. I'm trying to, at the beginning of this year, I said I'm going to drop the perfectionism.
Love it.
Start, trying to work towards just putting it out there and getting the word out about what I'm doing, because I put myself inside of this box and it has to be lined up correctly. And I blame that on building websites when in my early career, because you have to have things,
literally,
certain way. But yeah, I would like to stop there. And I think that it will also help to motivate others to do the same,
For
and get
sure.
started.
Yeah.
That's what I
I
love
like
is
that.
you see someone trying something and it almost gives you permission.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys watch American Ninja Warrior, but I love that show. And what I've noticed on that show is when one forever, like a ninja cannot make it through a certain
Mhm.
obstacle, right? And then one person makes it. And then like the next two or three people make it too. And it's just like it opens your mind up to think, you know what? It's actually not insurmountable. I could do that too.
Yeah.
You know, Ty's doing that. I bet I could do that too. So good on you
I
for doing that.
I love that analogy that you just used, Cyndi, because that is like a big part of the whole reason why we all have collectively created our platform, right? Is to kind of pave the way, to set the stage, to be able to open that up and to your point, if one person does it, then another person says,
That's
"Hey, I
right.
can do that too." And I think, it's so fun and amazing to watch all of that happen. And it's just that's the beauty of women supporting women is then, you see
Great.
each other succeed and you can help each other along the way.
Yeah.
I
Great.
love it. No, that is so great. Well, I want to revisit just a few statistics out there as we kind of dive into this episode a little bit. Is that just a reminder to everyone is that women hold only 28% of senior management roles globally. That's according to Grant Thornton in 2024. And women of color hold just 6% of C suite roles in the US. That was a Lean and McKinsey study that they had done. The pay gap is still there. Women are earning approximately 82% for every dollar men earn. That's according to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics. That's not just us making those numbers up. And then for Black and Latino women, that number actually drops to 65 to 70 cents. So there's an even greater pay discrepancy if you're a woman of color or a Latina woman. And then in career advancement, only 1 in 4 C-suite leaders is a woman and only 1 in 20 is a woman of color. Women are 24% less likely to get their first promotion into management than men. And a Hewlett Packard internal report found that men will apply for jobs when they only meet 60%, while women only apply when they feel they meet 100%, which speaks to exactly what you were talking about at the beginning, Ty, is drop the perfectionism. We all learn, we all grow, and you don't have to know 100% of everything to apply for a job.
Right.
Just do it. To the point, men are doing it all the time, even when and I've worked with some of those men who clearly only knew maybe 30% of the job that they actually applied for.
But we'll go
But
for it.
they
Yeah.
did it. Yeah, they went for it.
Yeah.
So how could I be mad at that, right?
Yeah.
They just
Yeah.
jumped in and did it. So no,
Yeah.
I think it's just so crazy to see all of that. But I'm just kind of curious, Ty, as we're reflecting back, like what was that pivotal moment in your career when you stepped into your power? Like when you were like, okay, I'm a woman. I'm going to own this and I'm going to take this forward and do these amazing things.
Yeah, I have so many moments like that because I feel like I've gone through so many evolutions of life.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest one that really gave me the confidence boost that I needed was actually getting the PMP certification. Then from there, I started the business. And, in between that time, I was still working. So you go to work and, you're going to someone who you trust and who's above you and you're asking questions, right? Because you have to know what you want this end to look like. But when you ask the question, they're telling you, hey, this is not rocket science. And I'm like, well,
Right.
we're not talking, we're not speaking about rocket science. I'm asking you about these risks on this project. So can we
Yes.
get to that? So that made me realize like right there, like my head was like literally hitting that glass ceiling and I
Yeah.
had to break out and do something not only for myself, but for others who were experiencing the same type of like someone talking down to them. And I don't think
Right.
the person really meant it, that way, but
Yeah.
I still took it
Words
to
matter.
heart. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's right.
it kind of catapulted me out of actually working for someone else and working for myself.
I like
Mm.
that. That's really good. What about you, Cyndi? I mean, what was, like, your moment when you took your power, when you're like, "I'm gonna do this?"
So funny because I was gonna ask you the same thing. So I'll answer, but I wanna hear from you as well. And I agree with Ty. I think there's different seasons that we go through, right? And
Yeah.
with those seasons, I think becomes you take the wisdom from your previous season and just life
Mhm.
girl, right? I think when I think my motivator is my kids a lot of times. Like
Mhm.
I want to be a
Yeah.
role model for them. Um, but I also like Linda, when you invited me to come join you at the city and county of Denver, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh man. At first I said yes.
Yeah. Yeah, she
And
didn't
then I
even
was,
hesitate. She's like, yeah."
yeah, an airport in Arizona. I've been a road warrior in HR for long enough. I think it's time to go to the city from where I was born and help them through this massive change. And so that was instrumental. And then just getting to join you and go through what we went through together with the change,
Um,
with the move to Kronos for 15,000 city employees. And then when Beth Mashan, who was city controller, came to me and said, "Hey, Cyndi, I want to invest in you to
yeah.
get your ProSci certification in change management." That was instrumental. And then when I was working for a large consultancy and I just did not feel aligned,
Mhm.
and I felt like there's a better way to serve our clients and it's more personal. It's less,
Yeah.
let me hand you a template. I wanna actually work with you. Kinda what you were talking about, Ty, like, change is
Mhm.
difficult. I saw
Mhm.
people going through that, and I thought, "Maybe it's time for me to go out on my own," and so I did.
Yeah.
So,
I love
Love
that.
it.
how
No,
about
that's
you,
a great
Linda?
story. Funny, I would say probably the city and county of Denver was a big pivotal moment for me because I think that was when I really stepped in to have the confidence to say, I know what I'm doing. Like I'd been a part of these teams for a long time and other companies that I'd worked for, but I always felt like I was asking for permission to have a
Mm,
table
yep,
to have my voice be heard and that was my own insecurity. I don't know that it was the companies that I worked for, if it was just I was in my own head, and had not come into kind of my own space, my own power yet. But the city opened that up for me and really gave me that confidence to say,
yeah,
you've been working a long time, you know what you're doing, go do this. And then I love what you said too. I mean, really transitioning, making the decision to leave the city and go to work for Kronos then at that time, that was
yeah,
a pretty big move for me because there wasn't a job at Kronos. I mean, I just opened up an opportunity in talking to the VP then and just said, you guys just don't know what you're doing when it comes to public sector. And at that time I wasn't really looking for a job as much as it was to just share some advice. And that ended up turning into actually Cyndi and I going out to Chicago and presenting in front of all these salespeople to tell them about, public sector and all of those aspects. And here we are standing in front of them, telling them how they're not doing their jobs well, and
in a
teaching them
nice
different
way.
ways in a very nice way, and teaching them. And so, I think that was, and then transitioning over to Kronos. It still took me a while when I got here to kind of find my footing as well because it was a whole different career. I'd been in payroll pretty much my whole career. And so all of a sudden transitioning into this role here. And so I think the last few years I've really kind of found my footing here as well and my voice. And a lot of it has been through the work that I get to do with you ladies and really just being out there and having like it was never important for me for my face to be out there, but
Mhm.
I would have people say, "Oh, I know. Oh, I've heard you. Heard your name." Like, and I started to realize I
Yeah,
was like, "Hey, that's kind of cool." They didn't even know who I was, but then I'd
you're
introduce
not
my,
in the
"Oh,
room and they're
yeah,"
talking
but
about
they
Right.
you.
knew who I was, and I was like, "Wow, that's pretty cool." So I think that gave me an opportunity to say, maybe it's time to put that face with that name and have people actually know who I am beyond just the name. So, but I'm with both of you too. It's like it'll be interesting to see what that next stage, that next phase is as we
Indeed.
transition into a different type of power in our lives,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
No, that is so cool. I really love
Glad I
that.
have the 2 of you as, support and collaborators with me. I'm very appreciative of that. So thank you both.
Me
Thank
too.
you. Yeah.
Well, and I think, just that's one cool thing for us to say to our listeners out there is find your own voice, right? Speak up, ask for what you want, and take credit for their contributions, right? Because your work by itself does not speak for you, you do. And that was a hard lesson I had to learn. I'm
It's
wondering
a
what
really
both of
good
you
point.
kind of think about that, right? It's not the work by itself. It's you got to be out there self-advocating. So I don't know
That's the
what do
hard
you
part,
what do you
right,
guys think?
Ty? Like, how do you do that, Ty?
So and I will again, I will not sit here and pretend like I'm the most or I've always been the most confident person in the whole world.
Yeah,
Because I remember there was a time, and I think I've told this story before, where I would sit along the wall, like in the conference room. I would never sit at the table,
right.
because I was afraid of like actually speaking up, or if I spoke up, someone would like try to tear me down and things like that. So,
Mhm.
um, it for me, it's always about learning. It's always about reading. So, the Sheryl Sandberg book that came out, there were a lot of people, who look like me, like women of color, that say that book doesn't, like, resonate with them,
Right.
because, she had a certain, financial scale and,
Yeah.
she came from a certain amount of wealth and things like that, but
Yeah.
that wasn't the part that I was looking at when I read the book. She was a woman, she was in, IT in a male-dominated industry,
Mm.
and, she gave actionable steps of how to go in and really lean in. And then, so that really helped me to find my voice and help me to develop my voice and not be afraid of my voice.
I love that.
So yeah, I think it's, where it came from is just reading and just making sure that you're always curious about the next thing.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That I think that's an actionable step
Mhm.
is find the
Mhm.
podcast, find or
Yeah.
podcasts,
Yeah.
find the books, do some research on people that you see their journey and you're like, "Oh my gosh,
Yep.
that's
Yeah.
pretty awesome. How
I
could
like that.
maybe my path is not the same."
Yeah.
But I heard a saying this morning, it's not the destination, it's the direction. And
That's
I
right.
love that,
Oh, I like that. Not
right?
even the
Right.
journey, it's
Not
the
the journey, it's the
direction. Oh, I like
direction
that. That's
and being
good.
open to those things, right? So,
Yeah.
you know, find those role models, whether they are sitting next to you, whether they are calling you when you're at an airport, or whether it's a book, a podcast, or just somebody online that you want to, you see parts of their career journey that you want to emulate yourself
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
figure out what that means for you and
I
just
love
start to
that.
move forward.
I would also say
That's
it's
good.
important to find someone that pushes you outside of your comfort zone. So,
Yes.
even here, the things that we talk about, Linda, with your great statistics that you always present, like you all always like push outside of the comfort zone, and it's not the status quo, and it's not the way everyone else does things. So if you find someone that makes you uncomfortable with being comfortable, then those are also the people you need to surround yourself with too.
I
Yeah.
love that. And not
That's
only
2
are they
great
going to
pieces.
push you, but they're going to support you.
Yeah.
Yes, that
No,
part.
absolutely. Great pieces of advice on that. And I like what you said, Ty, is that it didn't matter that Sheryl Sandberg was not in your demographic.
Mhm, right.
I mean, she's not in any of our demographic. But I love what you said about that is it had nothing to do with what she looked like or what her financial status was or where she was in her career. It's what did she say to you that spoke to you in a way that gave you that advice and guidance. And I think that's the best way to use those self-help books, those careers, the guidance, those mentorships is
Yeah.
take what you can learn from those. I mean, you're
Yeah.
not trying to be that person, right? You weren't going to be Sheryl Sandberg. It's like, but what can you take from what she shared with you that you could, really kind of bring into your life and in your career? So I love that. That's great advice.
Hey, Linda,
Go
I
ahead,
have a
Cindy. Yeah,
question for you. So,
yeah,
because I find this very difficult, and I heard Ty say she finds this difficult as well. So I'd be super curious. How do you advocate for yourself without seeming
Oh,
braggadocious or
yeah.
because it is kind of uncomfortable, but I get what you're saying. You do have to advocate for yourself. So what do you
It
do?
really is. I don't think I do it well, but I think I'm getting better at it. So, I keep practicing. And what I think that I've found is that what I used to do is when people would say, "Thank you for all the amazing things you're doing for us, Linda. We wouldn't have this program if it wouldn't have been for you." Before I'd be like, "Oh, oh, it wasn't me, or oh, thanks." And I'd kind of shrink away from it,
Mhm.
almost like I was embarrassed by the fact that
Yeah.
they were saying that. Now, what I do is I say, "Thank you very much. It wasn't just me, it was a team effort. And, I really appreciate everybody's support around this, but thank you." So I acknowledge the fact that, yeah, you know what, that was my idea. And it wasn't me
Mm.
who accomplished it all, but it was my idea. And we took it forward and we went and did it. So I'm trying to get more comfortable with being okay with acknowledging the fact that somebody says, you're doing these great things. And then the other thing that I've started doing is to your point about like not like I don't want to be braggy about things. And so, but when I'm presenting now in a meeting, I'm much more assertive and direct in saying, "Hey, these are the things we're doing." Because a great example of that is my boss generally has no idea what I do. and so, and that's not against him in any way. Like he
Making it
leads
look
the
too
sales
easy.
organization. I guess so. Yeah. And so every once in a while, like when we have the opportunity at a leadership meeting or something, I now will go through and highlight each of the areas that
Mm,
we're working on to say, hey, it just as a
love that.
reminder to him that these are all of those things that we have going on because he doesn't know because he's not thinking about that stuff on a day-to-day basis. And if I don't say anything, nobody knows that those things are going on. So I'm trying to take more of that approach, but getting a little more comfortable. So
A good idea.
Ty, does that sort of resonate with I'm thinking about, like, from a project management perspective, right? You show
yeah.
the dashboard, yeah, on a weekly
Mhm.
basis, like, "Here's what we're doing.
Yeah,
Here's what we're gonna do next week. Some of the accomplishments, some of the risks."
yeah.
So, you
So,
think
and
that
and
could kinda
again, back in my early career, a lot of things are performance based, the bonuses and things like that, and I didn't get a lot of those bonuses, and it frustrated me, but it was because I wasn't keeping track of the work. I thought people were just
Yes.
seeing my work, like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
working hard, you see I'm working hard, you see I'm
Right.
working at night, but if you don't have those actual stats like Linda provides to us, those dashboards, where you can
Yeah.
visually show who's above you, what you have produced, and what you've been doing, then it really means nothing. And you
Yeah.
have
So
to
true.
take control of your own voice. And we all have a brand, no matter if we're working for
Mm-hmm.
someone else or for
Yeah.
ourselves. We all have a brand that we have to keep up with, that we should keep up with.
Yeah. So true. What
I
about
love
you,
what you've
Cyndi?
both said too. I think the data speaks
Yeah.
volumes,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
right?
does.
So
Yeah.
if you can kind of share what the data, here's the percentage of, success is this. Here's the
Mhm.
specific people that, our team has supported or that I've, gotten to hear from. Here's some testimonials from people. So
Yeah.
but I think you're right, though, Linda. It's not on a leader to notice, although I think good leaders do. But there's no
I
way they
agree.
could notice everything.
Not everything.
So
Yeah.
help them out.
Yeah.
You know,
No,
highlight what
exactly.
you've done, highlight what your team has done, and yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. When we have an upcoming episode where we kind of talk a little bit about that, the unseen, right?
Hmm.
The
Yep.
glue behind
Invisible glue.
the invisible glue.
Yeah.
And so one of the pieces of advice out there too that we can give is track your wins. So keep the data and keep a brag book or a success journal that you can reference during reviews and interviews. That is something that I did do
Huge.
really early in my career is when I would get like an email that said, thank you or recognize, like when I worked for Aramark back in the day, or when I worked for American Medical Response, and I'd get these really nice emails or thank yous, or even in McData, Cyndi, when I would get
Yeah.
like something out, I did save those emails and printed them back in the day, right? We don't print anything now, but I would print those things, and then I held on to them because every once in a while, even for myself, I'd go back and read those to remind myself that, oh, okay, you know what? You're doing all right. All things are good. But creating those brag books or success journals and things like that, I think are a really good idea because you sometimes you forget yourself all the amazing
Yes.
things that you've done
Yes.
throughout your career too.
Yeah.
So
I love it.
yeah,
I
no, I
create
think
a
that's really good.
Apple Note, like the notepads in Apple,
Yeah,
and you can send them to yourself, you can share them with others, but, if
Yes.
yeah,
someone doesn't want to, print out the paper or they don't wanna write in a journal, I know we have
yeah,
younger people, probably listening to this, so use that
right.
Apple, those Apple Notes where you can kinda keep a running track, you can put your date at the top, the
Right.
time, and
Absolutely.
take a screenshot of that email that Linda was just mentioning and drop it right in there so you have it.
I love that.
Absolutely. No, I think that's a really good. I'm curious for both of you. How do you stay grounded and authentic, especially as you continue to grow in leadership? I mean, you both are now CEOs of your own companies, and I mean that's a pretty big title to carry around. So, how are you two staying really authentic, and then just thinking about how do you stay grounded as well in all of that, just to remain like who you are. So I don't know, whoever wants to take that one.
You go first.
Oh, okay, I was gonna tell you to go first. So authenticity is, I would say, the baseline of everything that I do. Integrity. So I refer back a lot to my grandmother. I can hear her voice in my head
Yeah,
a lot. So really for me, it goes back to my childhood and what I want to put out in the world, right? I believe in
yeah,
give out positivity, you get it back, things like that. So for me, I'm grounded in wanting to make sure that people are actually project leaders, that we are treating each other correctly. Like it's all about the people first for
yeah,
me. Like
Yes.
even, with change management, it's all about the people first. So
That's right.
thinking about what she told me, treat others as you wanna be treated, right? And then I
yeah,
also add on sometimes treat, others as they want to be treated as well,
Mm,
because sometimes we can kind of, get that incorrect because they may not wanna be treated in a certain way. But if
yeah,
you listen to them, and you get to know them, then you find out what makes them feel good, like the 5 love
yeah,
languages and things like that.
yeah.
So
yeah,
for me, I'm always grounded in that and always talking to other project managers or people who want
yeah,
to be project managers. I always end up with other women who come to me, but just listening to their needs and it kind of reset me or puts me, I'll say, confirms for me the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. So it's like
yeah.
that, okay, you are pointed in the right direction. This is your North Star and you should keep going that way.
Mm.
No, that is good. What
That
about you, Cyndi?
resonates with me. Yeah, I love what you just said there, Ty. So recently, Lauren Banas, who was an intern with the Delta principal for quite a while, and she just was such a joy to work with. She recently took a job at Towers Willis Watson Willis Towers. I forget,
A
a big
fancy
company,
name.
fancy name, big company. But I saw she's doing change management and employee experience.
Oh my
And right,
goodness.
that was the reaction I had as well, Linda.
Yeah.
I was
Oh,
like, "Oh my gosh." We got to work together. She was always very curious, and to see that she chose that as a journey
Yeah.
yeah.
for herself meant the world to me.
I
That's when
like
it
that.
reminds me of, just kind of the gravity of what we do
Mhm.
as women leaders. And honestly, I don't really ever think about, "Oh, I'm Cyndi, I'm the founder and CEO of the Delta Principal." It's I'm working with my clients, I'm doing what I do, right? It's the
Yeah.
day-to-day stuff. And then you come across something like that, and it's like, okay, what you're doing and the way you're doing it matters. So
Yes.
be authentic, continue to be who you are, because people can read between the lines, and make sure that, you're setting a really good example, building that bridge, as Charlotte Otter was sharing with us on
Yeah.
one of our recent episodes, to be able to, help the next generation to come into their own as well. And that's where
Yeah.
it means the world to me,
I
be a
like
CEO.
that. Yeah. It kind of leads back to that. No, it wasn't Oprah. I think it was Maya Angelou who said it, right? It's not, people will never, they don't remember what you did for them. It's, they remember how you made them feel.
Yes.
And that's what I hear from both of you, is that it doesn't matter, like, you're obviously focused in on growing your businesses, but that's not the core reason even why you're in business. A big part of that is, that giving back, how can I give something of what I've accomplished, what I've done, to help the next person and the next person, and how can I share that knowledge and experience? So I love that
And
from both of you.
celebrate their journey.
At the Delta Principle, we are transforming the way you experience change. Have you ever experienced an organizational change where your employees pushed back because it was too much, too fast, or they just didn't understand why they couldn't do things the way they've always done them? What about where communication was non-existent or unorganized, with important updates getting lost in the shuffle, leaving people confused? And have you ever experienced change where morale was at an all-time low because the change felt overwhelming and not aligned with your organization's culture? If you are being asked to lead an important organizational change, especially if you're new to leading change, or if you're just feeling overwhelmed, the Delta Principle is here to support you. We work closely with you as a trusted partner, co-creating real-world solutions to address your unique challenges, and we equip you and your organization for future success. Are you gearing up for your next transformation journey, or exploring ways to strengthen your change management skills? Then let's connect. This year, we're thrilled to introduce Leading Change, a training designed for leaders driving organizational initiatives, and Navigating Change, a training tailored to empower teams and adapting to change with confidence. Our coaching and training sessions are fully customizable to meet your organization's unique needs. Reach out today to see how we can partner with you to make your next change a success. You can find us on LinkedIn or by emailing us at info@thedeltaprinciple.com.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think it's so important. And I think that's kind of, speaks to as well. What we talk about is really networking intentionally. That's just another little piece of
Very.
advice. So Lauren reached out to you, if I remember correctly. So she
Yeah.
proactively reached out to ask you about being a part of your organization. And so really thinking about being strategic about how you build relationships, both inside and outside, right, is so important. And then use those platforms like the LinkedIn, the industry conferences, those women networks. So like what you've developed, Ty, I know one of our other community, Pam Fleming, she's doing this really cool program right now as well. And, there's just some amazing things that are happening. I think I just saw a post from Priya Shah this morning. She was talking about joining a group of women who are very relatable to her. And so that was really helpful for her to kind of come into her own. And so really thinking about leveraging those networks and being very intentional about those networks. Don't just join to join. Like if you're going to be a part of it, then be intentional about being a part of it. So.
That's such a really good point too, Linda. Like, decide which of those networking groups aligns with your values.
Yeah,
Because
because
there's
not
a
all of them
few.
will, right?
Exactly. And there's a
Yeah,
few I'm like, I probably should join that, association, that group, that network. And then I'm like, I don't feel aligned with their
yeah,
values and what they're putting out there. So I'm just not going to do
absolutely.
it, because time is super precious.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. How do
I
you kind
totally
of go
agree.
about that, Ty, when you're kind of determining who you're going to align with?
Great
And
question. Yeah.
That's a really good question. So I think about a year and a half ago now, I joined Junior League. And it's actually within my county. So that's like a nationwide group of women. It's all about community service, just making sure that we are taking care of where we live. So that really resonated with me, based on the fact that they were giving back. So, when I look at an organization, what they're doing, even being on the PTA or running a mentoring group,
Mhm.
going to speak to different groups. I like the fact that I'm able to educate. Like if I'm able to like
Yep.
really,
Yeah.
drop a nugget or be a change, just like you said, for the next generation. So with Junior League, we've been able to put like washing machines in schools so that, underprivileged students are able to wash their clothes on a regular
Love
basis.
that.
So that gives them a jump start. So even if you are feeling less than because you have a certain financial situation, it doesn't mean that you can't go to a junior college, doesn't mean that you can't go to college, but it gives you
Yeah.
that confidence and that motivation to keep going. So when I look at things, it's all about like, how are we giving back? How am I helping to take care of the community that I'm in as well?
That's
I
a
like
value
that.
that you have.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's
Love
so
that.
important. Yeah. And I think it's the people that you want to be around, right? I mean, we like to be around like-minded people, people where you can share and grow and that you're going to feel if you walk into an association or a meeting or a room and you don't feel welcomed or you feel like I don't know, I'm sure you all have experiences as well. I know I have it throughout my life and career where you walk into a room and you're like, "Mm, I don't feel like they want me here."
Right.
And so you're like, it's a very uncomfortable place to find yourself. And at first I thought, well, maybe it's just me because I'm such an introvert. Like, well, maybe I'm the problem. And then I started reflecting and I'm like, nope, I'm not the problem because when I have a group and people walk into it, I make them feel welcome and I
Mhm.
want to be warm and inviting because I know what that feels like to walk into a room and have no one say a word to you. And you feel like,
Yeah.
wow, I'm not quite sure why I'm here. So if you're in those situations, walk away. Like that is not the group for you. Those are not your people. And so don't force yourself to feel like you got to be there. Your people are out there, your communities and your associations that want you to be a part of them are out there. So go find those ones because you'll
Yeah.
thrive in those environments
Follow
versus
your
trying to fit.
intuition is what Linda
Yes,
said. Follow your
that's
So
right.
intuition.
true. Yes. I
Right.
was gonna say that.
Absolutely.
It's not always up here. It's how are
Right.
you feeling in here
Mhm.
and in your stomach and your
Yes.
intuition.
That's
Listen to
exactly
that.
right,
Absolutely.
Cindy.
For
Yeah.
Yeah.
sure. You got
And
to do that.
one thing I would add to that too, and this is an area that I've been kind of trying to stretch myself to. I totally agree with what you're saying, Linda. And there are also individuals that I find I might not 100% align with.
Yeah.
So I want to get more curious and
Mhm.
Mhm.
ask, so what was it about that that situation, or what was it about, your decision that, kind of drew drew you to that decision so that
Yeah.
I can better
Yeah.
understand? Because
Yep.
just because I have certain beliefs and values and decisions that I've made doesn't mean those are for everyone. So I just want to
Right.
know, like, what was it about that, or how did you come to that
Yeah.
decision?
I like
Stretch
that.
your
Yeah.
thinking. They stretch your
Yes.
Yeah.
perspective. Yeah, that's
And I
good. I
Absolutely.
like
typically
that,
learn
Linda.
something if
Yeah.
the person, has that same kind of curiosity and wants to share, what our
Mhm.
beliefs are with each other openly. I'm drawn to those people as well.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah. So I want to, so we're not saying you shouldn't, we don't want to create groupthink. Like we're not saying you shouldn't
Yeah.
stretch yourself or like Ty was saying, getting comfortable with being uncomfortable in
Yes.
situations, but trust your gut. Know that this is a
Yes.
place that you want to be. If you've kind of gone down and been curious, and then you're still kind of like, nope, okay, my curiosity
There
just
you go.
confirmed what
Yep.
my gut was saying,
Yeah,
then it's okay to move on. You don't have to force
absolutely.
the situation. Yeah,
Your
no, I
time
like
is
that for
valuable.
sure.
Yep.
Yep. Ty, what's the best piece of career advice you've ever received?
Oh, do it afraid. I think
Oh,
I've
I like
I've
that
had a
one.
lot, but yeah, do it afraid.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, push it. that pushes me outside of the perfectionism bubble. It pushes you outside of what makes you feel like you want to throw up. You know how sometimes you like, okay,
Yes.
if I throw up, then I can get through it. But just pushing yourself outside of that, because that's where the learning comes, and where you are
Yeah.
refined and defined. And it helps you keep building your brand voice and who you are as a person.
Yeah. No, I
I
like
love
that.
that,
What about you,
Ty.
Cyndi? What's the best piece of career advice you've ever received?
I think there's been a lot of great career advice, but the one that sticks with me a lot is progress over perfection. So a lot of what we've talked
Mm-hmm.
about,
Yeah.
just keep going in a direction, be curious about what you're hearing, learning, being asked to do. Don't be closed off to
Yeah.
opportunities, because you
Yep.
just never know. And that's really what my life and career, being open to opportunities or just taking some risks, and it's progress. It might not be perfect, but that's okay.
Yep.
And it gets you to that next good thing as
I like
well.
that.
How about
Yeah.
you, Linda?
Well, long before it became a Nike slogan, it was just do it. It's like just push the button. What's the worst that's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
Now it's a calculated risk. I mean, and I have pushed some buttons in my career where I was like, ooh, that I should have probably thought about that before I pushed that button. So I've made some mistakes along the way, but I definitely learned as well. But it's just like there really isn't anything in this world that if you want to do it and you set your mind to do it, that you can't do it. So kind of like what we were talking about from a skill set, like I was terrified about public speaking, for
Oh,
example, like standing up there on a stage and so then, I had some people around me who just were like, well, maybe that's just not your thing. Just don't do it. And I'm like, is it not my thing or is there something else? And so I'm like, I'm gonna try different ways of doing it and getting comfortable. And then I realized that I had anxiety. So how do I calm the anxiety, right? So it's just like those things. So it wasn't that I was incapable of doing public speaking. I just had to
Yeah.
find my center and my spot and where I could be
Self-awareness.
comfortable. Yeah,
Good
exactly.
for
And then
you.
just do it, right? Because now I don't get when I first started doing it, my lips would stick to my teeth because I was so nervous, and I'd sweat profusely and it was just so uncomfortable. But I just kept doing it. And over time, you get more comfortable and you find the situations that work for you. And I don't have nearly as much anxiety. So I think if you want to do something, do it, right? I mean, jump in the
Find a
deep
way.
end of the pool if that's what you want to do. I mean, just figure out, be smart about it. I
make
mean,
sure
make sure
lifeguard is
somebody's
around.
around. Yeah, that's right. If you
Yeah.
can't swim, maybe don't jump. But
Make sure there's a lifeguard.
that's right. That's right.
I love that,
But I
Ty.
think taking calculated risks
Yep,
is
definitely.
yeah, no, for sure. I think so. What are the top 3 things you think every woman should do in the next 6 months for her career? Like, doesn't matter what stage they are in their career. What are 3 things that each of you like, what kind of advice would you give to our women listeners out there?
All right, Cyndi, I'm gonna give it to you first.
Okay. This is a good question. I think get curious. I always say get
Yeah,
curious. Again, find those women that you're like, hey, that Ty, she seems pretty cool. She seems like she knows what she's doing. I might not be a project manager, but how did she go about doing stuff? Get on
yeah,
LinkedIn, get on her IG, check things out, right? Same thing. Then with once you decide you're curious and you decide here's a path I want to go on, experiment. You
Mm,
know, try
yeah.
things out. For
I like
30
that.
days, I'm going to, start to every day, like if it's something health, for 30 days, every day I'm going to take a 10-minute walk, right? See how it goes. And then the third step would be refine, 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 because
Yeah.
there's not an end goal. Again, it's the direction.
Yep.
And just say, what about that worked for me? What about that
Yeah.
made me feel fulfilled? And what about that did not?
Yeah.
And refine.
I
So
like
those
it.
would be the 3 steps I would say. Ty,
Very
how about
good.
you?
Yeah.
um, I'll go back to a couple of things that we've already spoken about, but networking on purpose,
Yeah.
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Being
On purpose.
very intentional about the rooms that you walk into And even once you get inside of those rooms, the people who you are gonna reach out to, because you can't reach
Yeah.
out to everyone. And
Nope.
not everyone is going, like we said before, not everyone is going to resonate with my values, my goals, things like that. So what can we give each other? So network
Yeah.
with purpose, receipts, keep them, like Linda said, track those
Yeah.
receipts, and don't be
Yes.
afraid to say, "This is mine. I did it, but I did it with the help of my team. We are
Yep.
awesome. We are all awesome." But just make sure that you're keeping those metrics and keeping a dashboard, like Cyndi said.
Like it. Yep.
Um, and I think the next thing I would say is to look beyond someone who can mentor you, but we said it before. Linda's name is always in rooms. I've heard your name before, but someone who will say your name in rooms that you've never walked into, and rooms
Yes.
that you've never even dreamed of walking into.
Yeah.
So if
I love
someone
that.
can advocate for you or be your sponsor, um, that's the best thing in the world. Nourishing those
Mhm.
relationships.
Love
Great,
that.
great advice. Yeah, no, I really like that as well. Because, yeah, I think too often we look for mentors. We don't look for sponsors. Like,
Mhm.
who's out there sponsoring you? Who's out there repeating your name and supporting you and lifting you up when you're not there? I love that.
And
That's
tap
really
into
good
those
advice.
people.
Yes.
Yeah, and tap
I
into
think
Yes.
them.
about
Yeah.
Brian Myers that we got to meet and have,
Yeah,
on our podcast. He's definitely been a huge sponsor for the success of my business, and I'm super appreciative of that.
absolutely.
Linda, how
No, I
about
like
you?
that.
What are 3
You
pieces
know, I think
of
3
advice?
pieces I would say is become more self-aware. Take some time to really take a look at where are you in your career and are you happy? Is this making you feel fulfilled? Like, is this what you're enjoying? Do you like what you're doing? And really take some time to look at that and then look at yourself as well to see, is it you or is it the situation? Like, what's driving that? But I think really kind of creating that self-awareness and looking at that, and then I'd say invest in some skill building.
Yes.
Like AI is here, for example. Do not be afraid of it. So go take the classes, play around with it. Find different ways to just familiarize yourself with new things. Like I like
Mhm.
to learn new things all the time. And so and we've had such incredible guests that we get to learn from all the time. Like,
I
go
agree.
and do that. I think, find something, invest in yourself. And it doesn't have to do anything to do with the job you're doing right now
That's
either.
so
Like, it doesn't
true.
mean go be better at whatever it is you're doing. I mean, certainly can do that, but maybe you've always wanted to be a writer or you've always wanted to, jet ski or whatever. Go
Yeah,
do it. Like, life is too short, right? So really
yeah,
kind of take those times. And then the last piece of advice that I would give, especially to our women out there, is remember that everything is negotiable. So that's a perfect time. So as you're kind of like evaluating and doing kind of some self awareness and thinking about where you are in your career, maybe you do a little bit of investment in your skill building, and then go have those conversations. So if you felt like, hey, I'm not getting paid what I should get paid, or hey, my title isn't what my title should be. Remember, it's all negotiable. Like, there is nothing in this world that is just set in stone. Go ask for it. What's the worst that could happen? They could say no, right? I mean,
and
so
what if
just
they say no? Then what's your
and
next
what if
step,
they say no?
right?
Exactly that. And at that point, you've done a little investment in yourself. You've kind of
That's
maybe
right.
level set on some things. And so maybe if you go and you ask those questions and they say no, like, okay, that was what I needed to give me the courage to say, maybe it's time to move on and do something else.
Linda, you
So,
cannot
yeah.
tell me that you are not the most confident person in the world, because my negotiation skills, they suck. So maybe that's um, maybe
There
that's
you
the
go,
episode that I
Ty.
can talk about.
That
Ah,
is a good one for us to talk about because I think a lot of women, we really struggle in that area,
Yes,
right?
I would
We get
agree.
very
definitely.
insecure around that. So I think, and there's so much that's rooted in that too, the psychology behind all of that and
Yes.
why we feel the way that we do. So
Yeah.
it's pretty amazing. But was we kind of like wrap ourselves up in our last episode in this series, and we're going to be coming back next year with a new series with Ty. So we're super excited. We're going to start brainstorming on that. But what would if you were going to leave everybody with something today, like whether it be like some recommended podcasts that you all listen to, or maybe it's some book, or maybe it's a community. What would you just kind of leave all of our listeners with from each of you? Ty, why don't you go first?
Yeah.
I'll start with this podcast. Like, this podcast
Aw.
always inspires me. The people who are on it. I just took a road trip to New Orleans a couple of weeks ago, and I listened to like four episodes.
Aw,
But Pam Fleming, shout out to her. She had some
she's
really great
awesome.
gems that she dropped. So, this is really a good spot where you can learn a lot. You can, learn about statistics, things that are affecting you. And I think that empowerment helps us to go out in the world and be better people, right? And figure out our why and things like that. So I will start with this. And if you have not read Lean In, or what's the other one? Nice Girls Don't Get the Corner Office.
Oh
I've
yeah,
heard
that's a
about
good
that.
one. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
those
yeah,
are always good books to read or reread, if you've already read them,
yeah.
to just pick up some new gems for 2025 that you can use going forward.
What
Awesome.
about you, Cyndi?
I am a big podcast listener. And so, which was why I was so curious when you reached out to ask me if I wanted to co-host this with you
Yes,
over a year ago.
yeah.
And so the ones that I really like, there's one, forget what the name of the podcast is, but I'll get it to you guys so we can drop it in the notes, the show notes.
Yeah.
But there's a lawyer who talks about communication, and this guy is amazing. And his
Mm,
episodes are about 20 to 30 minutes, so they're very easy to listen
yeah.
to. And like I said, he's a lawyer, but he has just such a, first of all, his voice is very nice to listen to.
Yeah, that always
Um,
helps.
yes, Jefferson, and I forget his last name, but again, we'll put it in the show notes. Mel Robbins, of course, because I think she drops knowledge bombs all
Yeah.
over the place and has some great guests. There's another lady named Liz Moody, who is a millennial, and she is amazing. Um, Jefferson Fisher. Thank you, Logan. Yes, he's awesome. Liz Moody is awesome too. And she does a combination of like wellness, but also, you know, kind of career and how to make decisions and things like that. That was the person, her podcast, Moody's podcast, was the one that I heard. It's the, the direction and not the destination.
I
So
like
she
that.
is
Yeah.
amazing as well. And she has a lot of
Yeah.
scientists that come on. So she has very well backed information that she provides.
Yeah.
So those
I
are a
like
few that
that.
I think are really, really good.
Yeah, I like that. Those are good. I was thinking about when you said Mel Robbins, because I was not an early adopter of Mel Robbins, and then I just was looking for audiobooks one day because when I first started listening to her, I'm like, I don't know if I really like her. Like she just wasn't resonating with me. And then I read her book. I think it's the 5 Second Rule.
Yes.
Or I listened to it on
Great book.
audiobook, and it was such a great book. And then after listening to that book, and it kind of made me really think about it. So, like when she talks about using her example of, not wanting to, like, if you're trying to get up in the morning and you want to go because you want to work out or whatever, like that, get up. And when she said that she was listening to the countdown, that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then she gets up or whenever she's procrastinating about something, she does that countdown. And when she talked about the psychology behind that is that if you don't want to count up because you can keep counting, then you can just keep going 6, 7, 8, 9, and still procrastinate. And then when she says when you count down, when you get to that end, you have a choice to make, right? And that choice is, okay, I counted down, I'm going to go do it. And so that got me kind of interested. And then during that, as she was teasing out her new book that she put out there called Let Them. And Let Them, honestly, has been a really good one for me as well, because similar to you, Ty, I did listen to the Sheryl Sandberg stuff, but I didn't listen to it in the way that you did. And I think that made it harder for me to connect with her because I kept thinking, oh, sure, this is great advice to give. You've got probably a litany of nannies and personal assistants, and here you're telling me how I should, work 24/7, 365 or something like that. And so I wasn't hearing it with the right frame of mind. And so when I listened to Mel Robbins' book, Let Them, I kind of took a different approach to it, right? It wasn't about me trying to relate with Mel's stories. It was taking her stories and how that then related to my life and some of the things that I had going on. So those are a couple of really good ones. I also like the podcast Code Switch. I don't know if you guys have ever listened to that podcast,
Not
but
yet,
that's a
but I
really good
will.
one. Yeah, we'll drop that
I'll check
in
it
the
out.
chat. There's just some really interesting things, but it makes you think about things differently. And that's one of the things that I've really tried hard to do over the last year is open my mind a little bit more and not being so stuck in because this is the way I think it is, that's the way
Yeah.
that it is, and really trying to open that up in a way that when I hear something, I'm like, oh, that's kind of
That's
interesting.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's some really good stuff in that one as well. So those are a few ones that I'd probably recommend. And then there's another good podcast out there called Her First 100K. And I think anytime you can listen to women who give great advice about growing their career, growing their finances, I think those are always good ones for us for sure too. And we'd be remiss if we didn't call out like Brene Brown out there with her Dare to Lead book. That's another really good one out there too. So yeah, there's some good ones out there, no doubt. But
I'd
I
love
have
to
loved
hear.
this.
Yeah, and I would just one more call out to our community. When this episode
Yes.
comes out, please drop in the DMs or in the comments
Yeah.
what you're listening to or what you're reading or who you're following because you never know like who it can help.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah.
That is such a great point, Cyndi. And so, yeah, we definitely always want to hear from our listeners and our community out there. So, well, I just want to say to all of our listeners out there that whether you're just starting out or you're leading at the top, I hope that you recognize how much this series was for you. When Ty first approached us to talk about this and really kind of framing this out into a way that when we first kind of started talking about the entryway and foray into project management, and then how the conversation has just really evolved into where we are today. I just want to encourage you all to keep rising, keep leading, and being unapologetically who you are, because that's all that really matters.
I thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom and just being so real. You really are an authentic person. It's
You
been
are.
such a pleasure getting to know you further through these 6 episodes. It's been so
Yes.
much fun, right, Linda?
Oh my
Like,
goodness.
just
Yeah.
so
I was
much
thinking
fun.
about you the other day, Ty, when you had said something on our last episode about that you really are a country girl and grounding yourself in the grass, right? Bare feet.
Love
And
it.
I see this, I don't know, spilled a whole bunch of water all over myself outside and I took my shoes and socks off and I was like,
Yay.
I was thinking about you. I was like, you know what? There's
I'm gonna
something to
channel
this.
Ty.
I know.
Yeah.
I was feeling myself a little tight because I'm like, there's something to be said for my bare feet touching the ground. It
Yes.
felt really
Awesome.
good.
It gives
So, yeah,
energy, that's for sure.
Yes, indeed.
absolutely.
Aw.
Yes,
I'm
no,
always humbled to be here and to be in your presence. So, again, thank you very much, and I appreciate the sponsorship, the friendship, the mentorship, and everything else in between. So, thank you very much.
absolutely. Well,
Thanks.
this is just the beginning, much more to come as we continue. And this is not the end of our friendship or our relationship or any of the things we all keep
No.
doing together, just the end of this particular series. So, thanks to all of our listeners out there. We hope that you'll like and share this episode and, check out our website as well, where you can find all of our episodes and blogs. And we've got some fun things planned for some things that we're doing out there as well. Definitely make sure that you check out Ty and the Her PM. Ty, talk a little bit about how people can connect with you as well.
You can connect with me on LinkedIn through Ty Cochran and then also herpm.com. Also have the Impact Collective, which is our community of project leaders where we are going beyond project management. I'm kind of in a transition of doing some rebranding and coming up with a new site. So I'm excited to get that out in the next few weeks, but just join me on the journey and check me out every, what is it? I think I'm doing Thursdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. my LinkedIn Live series. So
Absolutely. No, we will definitely be there. And thank you for everything that you do and all of the work that you're doing out there with those with young women as well,
Yes.
and just the
Yes.
mentorship and sponsorship that you're out there providing. Well, thank you to everyone, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Thanks so much for joining us for this episode of the HR Her Resources podcast. We're so happy to have you with us on this journey. Music and production by Logan Misigatis of LJM Productions. We'd also like to thank our intern, Lauren Banas, for creating our logo and supporting our social media postings. If you'd like to connect with Logan or Lauren, you can find their information in the show notes. If you found value in our discussion and think someone else might as well, please follow, subscribe to our LinkedIn, and share with a friend. Until our next episode, please take care and continue to support one another.